If 2026 is already feeling incredibly busy, this is an opportunity to pause. Today, we're going to talk about values. We're going to discover what your values are, or at least start to, so that they can underpin everything you do this year. Values are one of the things that have guided me so much in the last decade. Probably more than that, but more so in the last decade, that I've really, really focused on them, and I've defined them for me so that I carry them everywhere with me. I know exactly what they are, and I can look at my life and my decisions. Okay, not always, I'm so not perfect, but I can look at what I do and ask myself, does this align with my core values? So, welcome to the live stream. I'm Catherine, and I am a personal and business coach, helping you live with intention so that you can make the most of every single day. So, I've got notes here. I'm going to be referring to those, and we are going to look at values. So, last week we talked about 3 things that were most important to you in 2026. And it was a great conversation, and I know many of you got a lot from it. So some of you, when you thought about what was important this year, talked about health and connection, creativity, rest, courage, so many things. And that's where our core values come in, because our core values underpin those priorities that we have. So this is for you if you feel pulled in a whole lot of directions, if you keep second guessing your choices, if you want to be kinder, if you want to be clearer about where you're going. Defining 3 to 5 core values will make daily decisions easier. I can guarantee it. So, what are values? Your goals are the destination. So you want to lose weight, you want to launch a business, you want to move your body more. Your values are what underpin those goals. They are what help you navigate life to achieve what it is you want to achieve. Things like honesty and courage, creativity, spirituality, happiness, freedom. Those are some values that underpin what we do. So when we live by our values, everything is aligned and everything feels right. We are doing what our soul wants us and needs us to do for our best life, if you like. So I do have notes here, so I'm just referring to them. So when life doesn't go to plan, for example, things can fall apart. Goals can fall apart. They can have to be put on hold. They can take a back seat. They can even go backwards for a time. You know, I remember when my brother was diagnosed with terminal cancer, you know, I made a choice to put my business on hold, to let it tick over. I was fortunate. I had staff. They kept it going. But I made a choice for that year not to grow my business anymore, and not even to do as much as I had been doing in the previous 12 months. Because one of my underlying values was happiness, and that was happiness of my brother. So it was about supporting him. It was about having the time together so that we could enjoy some happy times during this season. And that goal took a back seat. But it was fine because my core value of happiness took over, if you like. Hi, Laurie. Hi, Rhonda. Lovely to have you here. Steve, hi. Good to have you here. Glad you could make it. So, yeah, how's everybody doing? I know in the US you have got incredible ice storms. Yeah, I know that's been very tough for people. Steve, I know you've had a lot of snow as well. I'm not sure where that's at right at the moment, but lovely to have you all here. So values don't change when things go awry in our life, and I guess they are our guiding light. They're what steer us and bring us back to what's truly important to us. So think of a moment in the last year where you felt very proud of something that you did or that happened, and drop 1, 2, or 3 words in the comments. What was that moment in terms of what you valued about it? So what made you feel proud? So for me, an example is, starting YouTube last year, I felt incredibly proud of myself because it actually, putting myself out there on YouTube contributed to my own happiness, which is a core value of mine. And it helped a lot of other people. But it also helped me on my healing journey, which is another one of my values. So another one of my values is healing, and it helped me heal a lot, and it also helped others heal. So that was a moment that I was really proud of that aligned with my core values. So let me know in the comments, what's something that you were proud of from last year that, it might be that you had a new grandchild and you're incredibly proud because family is really important to you. Or, your child started school, or you started a business, or you might have started YouTube too, and you might have been proud because you pushed yourself outside your comfort zone and you discovered that you're courageous. So whatever it might be for you, there will be a value that underpins why you're proud. So tonight isn't about finalizing your values. It's about starting to think about what they might be. And often it's something we're proud of, or something that we feel that is really us, that we are really alive in that moment. So it could be that we love painting, or we love coaching, or we love playing a particular sport, or running, or writing, whatever it might be. There might be something, and there will be, that makes us feel fully alive. So what is it about that equates perhaps to a value? So I know for me, continuing to do my own personal work and to look at what happens in my life and to explore that and to think about how that aligns with my healing value is something that really makes me feel alive. Because when I have another aha moment, like I did yesterday when I was out walking and I was listening to a podcast, which I really do these days, I much prefer just to walk and take in the silence and the birds and the wind and whatever else might be out there, the plants and the old fences, and just to take that all in. But yesterday I listened to a podcast, and the podcast is The Way Out is In, and it's by a Buddhist monk and another guy that is involved in the Plum Village Monastery. And yesterday they were talking about forgiveness and self-forgiveness. And he talked about not being in a hurry. And I had an aha moment. And for me, that was, yes, don't be in a hurry. I've often been in a hurry. And what came to me in that moment was this journey of healing that I'm on, and healing being one of my core values, is a lifelong journey. It's not going to get wrapped up by a certain date in 2026 or 2035 or whatever it might be. It's a lifelong journey. And I'm always going to be growing. I'm always going to be changing. And I'm always going to be learning. And that was a real aha moment. And for me, that really lights me up. And it's like, yes, that's why I continue on this healing journey. So, yeah, what is it for you? What lights you up? Let me know in the comments. Cheryl, hi. CL, hi. Thanks for joining. Great to have you both here. And in the comments, Laurie, hi. Yes, I thought YouTube would be about giving. It turns out it's been just as much about remembering who I am and growing in ways I didn't expect. I guess I'm proud of that. 100%, Laurie. It's definitely been the same for me. You know, this YouTube journey has been so much more than I ever expected. And whilst I'm very aware that, you know, I have flip-flopped in what I've been doing, I have gone from one thing to the other. I've tried new things. You know, that's me. But I have now settled on personal growth, intentional living, and I'm going to intertwine with that my vlogging, because I love doing that. And I still want to share things, you know, in the garden that I'm doing, and I still want to share, you know, the meals that I'm eating and things like that, because I know that all of you enjoy that. So, and I enjoy doing it and sharing it. So YouTube has been so much more. It's been so much more about community than I thought. You know, who here has found that? You know, I would never have guessed that I would now have friends, you know, on the other side of the world, who I didn't have a year ago, and you know, in so many parts of the world. It's just been such an incredible journey. So I think, yeah, YouTube has definitely been way more than what I expected. Steve, you have had, sorry, I missed your comment. You've had snow replaced by rain and floods. Yeah, the flooding and the rain in many parts has been horrendous. You know, as many of you know, we've had it here, and we had an awful tragedy in our city last Thursday, where a big landslide came down over a camping ground, and 6 people are missing. I believe they have recovered 2, well, early on, but they are still in a recovery phase to bring the rest of them out. Incredibly sad. There's an incredibly low mood and feeling in our city right now. And yeah, there was also another landslide locally that sadly took 2 people's lives. And, you know, I know that may have been the case in other countries too. It's incredibly sad. So just take care out there, everybody, and just, you know, keep safe, and just keep asking the universe or God or whoever or whatever you believe in to, you know, help keep everyone safe. Yeah. So, you know, and those things too, you know, align with our values, don't they? You know, our values of just wanting to respect others and think of others, and all of that. So our values are really important. And another way of thinking about values and defining what they are and how they affect us and impact us is thinking about things that may bother us. So if you think about something that may have felt off or wrong, or something that you didn't agree with, you know, I know recently there's been, you know, our Prime Minister has been posting about this local event, and a lot of people have just come on and put really derogatory comments, you know, as people do about country leaders. And, you know, everyone is there doing their best. And to me, that's just felt really off. You know, it's like, it's the opposite of respect, and it's the opposite of, you know, people doing their best in a really tough situation. And sometimes those things feel like they have violated our personal values. And that's sometimes a way that we can identify what our values are. If we really feel like people are being disrespectful, one of our core values might be respect. That might be one of the things that is nearest and dearest to our heart and that we value the most. Rhonda, I am proud of the connection I have built on YouTube. I would say that connection with others is one of my values. I too have grown a lot this past year. Yeah, connection is a biggie, isn't it? In these times, connection is something that I think we need to work to define. I know for me, in a way, I feel more connected than ever, having been able to connect with so many people online, and it's wonderful. But there's still that element that I value so much, which is about that one-on-one connection. And, if you have that connection, it's important to honour that and to connect with people one-on-one and in person. It makes such a difference if we can do that. It's all very well connecting in a big and collective way, but the one-on-one is really important for us and our mental health, I think. As we all know, the events of 2020 were incredibly difficult, and I think it's made us a little more isolated. Many of us work from home. We don't sit in an office with colleagues any longer. And, whilst I didn't experience that because I had already been working for myself at home for many years, I think that must be incredibly difficult. I don't know if anybody here does that, but I think that must change that connection factor a lot. So let me know in the comments if anything has sort of triggered a thought in you, a feeling in you, something that might have had you thinking, that might be my core value. If there's a core value that you think you might have just kind of connected with or realised, drop it in the comments, and if you're comfortable doing that, and let's share it. So for me, my core values are health, healing, and happiness. And I defined those probably about a decade ago. So I know when I was in my early 50s, when I went into menopause, it was an incredibly difficult time. And, that's a decade ago now. And when I think about that, I think, my goodness, I can't believe that 10 years has gone by. But at that time, it was challenging on many levels. My mental health suffered, my physical health suffered. I suffered from anxiety, a bit of depression. I had all sorts of symptoms that were really difficult to manage. And my health at that point became really, really important to me. And my happiness was something that had already been important for many, many years. After I came out the other side of therapy and I looked at what was important to me, I thought about why I went into therapy and the fact that before I did that, I was miserable. I had that grief that I'd squashed down that turned into depression, which is what happens when we, squash grief down. It can turn into depression and anger. And I decided that all I wanted was to be happy, and that became a core value, back in the 90s. And in more recent years, as I moved into more and more healing over the last 5 years, I added healing to my core values because that was something that I knew I'd always continue. And the more I healed, the more I wanted to heal. So let me know in the comments. I've got top chat on instead of live chat, so I may have missed something. Everybody's quiet today. Let me know in the comments if anything has sort of gone, maybe that's one of my values. maybe you're just contemplating today. Maybe you're just thinking about what's important to you. CL, I worked in the office during those years. Florida wasn't as shut down as other states. We did okay. Yes, now I think I do remember something about that, CL. Yeah, I think I do recall that. It was quite different in different parts, wasn't it? I know in different parts of New Zealand there was more lockdown than others as well. So sometimes it can be a good idea to do some quiet reflection and to, get out a pen and paper and maybe create a mind map about what do you think your core values might be? What's important? Is it family? Is it friends? Is it, financial freedom? Is it creativity? There are so many things that it might be. And, use AI, use ChatGPT to help you. Put a prompt in there and say, the three most things that are really important to me in 2026 are blah, blah, blah. What are some values that underpin those that I could start thinking about to select my 3 core values for my life? And they change over the years. Mine used to be different. I honestly don't remember what they were before these 3. It's so long ago. But they were different. When I was younger, and as I started to age, health became so super important to me. Cheryl, core values for me is faith, fitness, and fun. It takes practice in all areas. That's wonderful, Cheryl. That is faith, fitness, and fun. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, and you are all about faith and you are all about fitness with your rebounding videos. And your videos are so fun. And I can see how fun would definitely be one of your core values as well. Laurie, I have always tried to be healthy, but the last 6 or 7 years I'm trying to learn about my body and how to take care of my body in such a way that it heals itself and remains healthy. Yeah, that's important, isn't it? Particularly as we age, it's, for me, it's been accepting that my body is different and accepting that, I can no longer spend 8 hours in the garden. I can't go out there for 4 hours, come in and have lunch and go out for another 4 hours, like I used to be able to in my 40s and early 50s. Now I might go out there for an hour or 2 and then I need to come in and have a bit of a break and do something else or just rest, put my feet up and catch up on a YouTuber and then, go out and do a little bit more. Or when I had my business, what I would do is I love getting up early. So I would get up early. I do my best work in the mornings. My mind is freshest in the mornings. I would get up and I would work early. I would work till midday. Excuse me. Let's have some water. I would work till midday or I would work to midday or 2 o'clock at the latest, and the afternoons would be my rest time. So I would put my feet up. I might even have a nap. I might do a meditation. I would catch up on some YouTube. The afternoons would be my time when I rested and did other things because I knew I worked best in the mornings. And it's been the same with learning to accept that my body is getting older. It's changing. I'm changing. My mind is changing. And I found it really difficult at first. I found it really difficult. When I first started to see, I remember 5 years ago, probably. I remember when I first, I was painting a mirror in the garage and I had it on a trestle and it was below me and I was reaching over painting and I saw the wrinkles under my arm for the first time and my saggy skin of a, probably, what was I then, 5 years ago, 56-year-old. And, I was horrified, and I found it really difficult, and I wanted it to go away. And, it took me a good while, the last 2 or 3 years to kind of really accept that, my body is aging and it's not going to go back to what it was. Sure, there's things I can do, but it's not going to go back to what it was, and it's not going to, it's just accepting that my body's changing and it's going to continue to change, and to make the most of what I can do to be as healthy as I can be, as you say, Laurie. Cheryl, I love that, Laurie. It's been a journey. Yeah, it's all such a journey, right? Such a journey. Hi, Dan. Sorry, I didn't see you pop in. Good to have you here. We are talking about our core values today and defining 3 core values for ourselves. Just starting to think about that. It's an exercise that takes time, and for me, mine are health, healing, and happiness that have been developed over many years. Cheryl shared hers, faith, fun, and fitness. If anybody else wants to drop any ideas in that they might have been thinking about, drop those in. But yeah, we're just talking about starting to think about those, and how they underpin everything we do. And once we have our core values, then when we make a decision, we look back at those, and we check in. So an example of that for me recently is, going back into business part-time. It's like, I have really missed the personal development stuff, and I've missed the coaching, and I've missed running a business. I don't want to have a full-on business again because, I just don't want to do that. And when I made the decision to coach again and to have a business again, I had to check in and think about, okay, why am I doing this? And to be perfectly honest, it makes me happy. It actually lights me up to be doing this, to be sharing, to be connecting, to be helping others. It's a skill that I have. It just aligns with those values that I have of, creating happiness for myself, helping others create happiness, for healing myself, for helping others heal themselves, and sharing what I do does that for me, and it does it for others. So, every decision we make, we check in, does that align with my goals, with my values? So if ways that we can live in more alignment with our values, if you really value connection, perhaps, rather than scrolling on social media, send a message to someone who's important to you. If they come to mind, flick them a text or a message, a private message, and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. Hope you're doing okay. Whatever. Send them a message. Tell them you're thinking about them. I do that a lot. And I really love doing it because it's important to me, that one-on-one connection. Notice what's happening. Notice what you're doing, how you're spending your time, and whether that connects with your values. If rest is one of your values, stop working at 8 p.m. if you've been working late, if you can. I remember my business coach saying to me, at a time when I was growing my business and it was incredibly difficult and I had so many things to do, I remember her saying to me, okay, you need to de-stress. What has to be done today? What's the 1, 2, or 3 things that you must finish today? Do you need to respond to a customer? Do you have to pay something? What absolutely has to be done today? Go and do those things and then take the rest of the day off. And I'll tell you what, the times when I did that, it was the absolute best decision. I would do those things. I would take myself down to the local beach with my journal, with the dog, with the book, and I would sit there under a tree and I would chill out. And it was the absolute best thing to do. Rhonda, I have a list of many of my values. I would say my top 3 are integrity, love, and freedom. Beautiful. I love that. Yeah, integrity is a big one, isn't it? It's hard to choose. It's yeah, there are, there are so many that I value as well. And it is really hard to define it to 3. But I find that having 3 helps me really center on those and really keep them front of mind. Yeah, Laurie, yes, Catherine, I do that all the time. Don't always have something to say, but just say, hi, I'm thinking of you. Yeah, it's a really cool thing to do, isn't it? And, connecting with others makes us both feel good. And it really shows that, that we care. So when we've got our values, and as I say, this is something that over time you can develop, because it's not a 5-minute thing. But once you have, each morning you can check in and say, okay, what am I going to do today, and how does that align with my values? How does my exercise align with my values? My health values, are important to me. So I try and walk every day. If I've done a lot of walking in the week, I might have a day off, and that's fine. But that's important to me. Write your values in your journal. Write them on some Post-it notes and put them on the mirror in your bathroom or on your fridge. To remind you, and to remind you to ask yourself, is what I'm about to do in alignment with my core values? And each evening you can journal and say, did I live in alignment with my values today? Did I, for me, did I honor my health? Did I eat well? Did I exercise? Did I think about my thoughts and how they were impacting me? I've had a biggie in that just this last week that I'm going to share in my next video, and how some thoughts that I was having was really impacting an area of my life. And, that's been something that is aligned with a health goal. And it was a bit of a wake-up call for me. And it was like, what are you doing, Catherine? What are you doing? And it's something that, I feel like I should have seen sooner. But, we're not perfect. We're on a learning, healing journey this entire life. So asking yourself if you've lived in alignment, and no judgment. It's just look at it as data. You're collecting data. Did I live in alignment today? Maybe I ate a bit too much. Okay, I'll do it differently tomorrow. Maybe I didn't go for a walk because I just was feeling like I really didn't want to, and I was being a bit lazy, maybe, or I was tired, and that's okay, because that's honoring my health too. If I'm exhausted, pushing myself is not honoring my health and my healing. So no judgment if you don't live in, if you do something that doesn't align with your values. Just remember that it is only data. You're looking at it as data so that you can do it differently next time. So if you're watching the replay, and once this has gone up, and you think about your values, or if you're here now and you want to pop your values in later, come back and drop them in the comments once you've defined what they are. I'd really love to know, what your values are. Dan, I find that females are much better at communicating emotion than males. I'm working on it. Since I'm surrounded by girls at home, wife and 3 daughters, it definitely helps me to communicate better. Oh, wow, that's amazing. 3 daughters. Wow. That is a wow, Laurie. I agree. Your house is a fun place for sure. Oh, that's awesome. What age are your girls? So let me know how this has been. What's kind of, what's it triggered for you in your mind about goals and about, your direction and your values that underpin those goals? What has this conversation today triggered for you? 12, 15, and 17. Oh, wow. So almost 3 teenagers. Fantastic. Catherine, you have inspired me. I'm really trying to make an effort to incorporate a nighttime rhythm before bed. I am very good with morning, but seeing how a nighttime rhythm might help. Brilliant. That is so cool, Laurie. I love that. Yeah, it's just finding what works for us, isn't it? So next time, we are going to talk about habits that strengthen our values and how we can do that. So I will be live again in 2 days' time, and we will be somewhere. I'm not sure yet. We are heading away in our camper van tomorrow for a week or 2 or more. We're not sure. We're just going to go with the flow. And but I will be doing my live streams and uploading videos and doing my coaching calls. So I'll be carrying on as normal with my little part-time business. And that's one of the reasons I love this too, is that I can do it from anywhere. If I've got clients, there's always a space I can find at the campground, or I've always got data, so I can always continue doing those things wherever we are, which is such a great great thing about working online. So we might, if has anybody got anything else they would like to comment or talk about this morning? Sometimes the lives go longer, sometimes they're shorter, but it's always good to connect, isn't it? And it's lovely to connect with friends here and with anybody that decides they want to join. It's just lovely to speak with like-minded souls, I guess. It's really super important. So we might wrap things up with a nice big deep breath together, and perhaps we might just ask for clarity of our values in the coming days. And when you get clear about hello again, we are just wrapping up, but we have been talking about values. So come back and watch the live stream, because there's a lot of good stuff in here about values. Thank you for joining, Abbess. Good to have you here. So let's just lower our gaze or close our eyes, and we're going to take a nice big deep breath together, and then we're just going to sit for about 30 seconds maybe, and we're going to ask for clarity on our values. So if you want to place one hand on your heart, one on your belly, or both on your heart, and take a nice big deep breath in, and as you do, just in your mind's eye, ask for clarity around your values. And breathe out. Now just focus on your breath. just wiggle your fingers and toes. Take a nice, another big deep breath in. And open your eyes. So, thank you everybody for joining. Lovely to have you here again today. Go well this week, and I will see you in the next live stream and in my video on Saturday. Take care, and I'll see you in everybody's communities out there on YouTube. Bye for now.